So a whole bunch of nothing CMF buds just came out, and let's start from the bottom. At £29 or 2200 Indian rupees, these are the CMF Buds 2A. And it's weird, it's horrible, but I quite like it. Let's talk. Starting off, you don't get much in the box. Unlike the CMF Phone 2 Pro, you don't get a charger, you don't get a case. In fact, you don't even get a charging cable with these. You just get the buds, ear tips, and instruction manuals. For some reason, that's a trend with the other two buds as well. A bit strange, would love to see a cable in the box. The iconic dial from the previous CMF buds and the rest of the Buds 2 lineup is still here, and it's still a lanyard loop. But it's a glossy plastic which just, it makes it feel cheap and slightly greasy. But the rest of the case also feels pretty plasticky as well. Like this thing it just screams hollow plastic, and honestly, I can feel some flexing in the case, which is pretty scary. Another interesting thing is that the pairing button has moved from inside the case to the side next to the USB Type-C port. And that's an interesting change. I actually didn't expect that, but then I texted a friend who used the previous older CMF buds, and apparently, yeah, it's also next to the USB Type-C port. So maybe this is a case of recycling. Now, in terms of fit, they're actually pretty chunky. They're similar design to the CMF Buds Pro 2 and the rest of the Buds lineup, but they're just fatter and squarer. You definitely feel that they're larger, and you can feel the stem being significantly thicker, but they're not that bad. I mean, these are a blatant rip from the AirPods Pro, so of course it's going to be comfortable. They're pretty good though. Now, in your ears, noise cancelling is also pretty decent for the price. But you don't get ANC strength options like you do on the other CMF buds or the more expensive Nothing ears. Transparency mode is decent, but it's not something that I would rely on. Like this thing, I'd rather just pluck them out of my ears and leave them in the case. Because honestly, it's not that good. It's only enough for basic spatial awareness. Now, in terms of battery life, these are good. In fact, they're actually excellent because honestly, the extra thickness of the buds actually gives it much more battery. And especially because these are not very powerful earbuds as well, the volume isn't as high, you get some pretty good battery life out of this. My daily commute to school is about an hour, and it takes so much life out of the rest of my earbuds, and for this it doesn't even touch 90% as far as I know. Sometimes it goes below 90, but very rarely. These are long-lasting buds, and I'm very surprised. But after removing them from your ears after that long period of time, it doesn't auto-pause. Yeah, it doesn't have in-ear detection, which is, to be honest, I'm fine with it. I mean, these are budget earbuds, right? So I'm fine with the fact that they didn't have to put in the light sensor to detect whether it's in your ears or not. Like the similarly priced OnePlus Nord Buds 3 didn't have optical sensors either. And I guess that was alright. So I'm actually fine with them being omitted here, especially because these are budget buds. But budget aside, how do they sound? They're still earphones, so how do they sound? Well, bassy. Even the direct tuned sound is bassy because these actually have several EQ options. The direct sound is bassy, the bass like pop option is bassy, and that's because the drivers themselves are already pretty bass biased. Another thing is that it comes out of the box with ultra bass set to level 3 and activated. So the moment you put them on, you have a feeling of just thumpiness and just a really dark and dim sound. Once you knock off that option, it actually sounds pretty okay, while still being extremely bassy, they do have a slight bit more clarity than the original ultra bass option. Honestly, I think most people won't complain because these are genuinely better than most of the buds out there. Like, okay, I'm not even gonna try to compare to some of the Indian local brands like Bode, because I haven't tried those before. But from what I've heard, they are pretty bassy. But clarity on these takes a backseat. The Buds 2 and Buds 2 Plus both tout immense sound clarity. These don't have that. Like, they are still clear, don't get me wrong, but they're not clean. It's not very clean sound, so you end up with a lot of like artifacting. Also, something strange is that sometimes it would just like cut and get choppy, even on the super stable AAC codec. So, a bit strange. But you see, the thing is, the highs, the trebles, are just so flat and flimsy that it's just not my cup of tea. Like, I put these in my ears, I listen to music, and it sounds great for the first few seconds, and then I hear a hi-hat, and it all falls apart from there. I start hearing more and more changes, horrible sound details, and it just doesn't work out. Like, even the iconic test at this point, thanks to DangPods for some reason, September from Earth, Wind & Fire, the bongo man almost disappears. Like, in the right side, typically you hear this guy with the bongo, disappears completely, almost completely at least. And I just find it kind of funny. And by the way, if you didn't know, I hate the ultra bass feature. It is just woofy, muddy bass mixed onto already pretty bad sound. So I chose to keep it off. But if you're a fan of skull candies, these are great for you, because these have the bass that you want. See, for £29, or once again, like I said, 2200 rupees, these are good. And honestly, I recommend these over a lot of others, because a lot of others don't have companion apps where you can EQ everything or you can control everything. Most are just cheap and cheerful. So the fact that these exist and they hook into the existing Nothing X app is pretty important to me, because these are good, cheap buds. It's a pretty easy recommendation from my end, as long as you're not an audiophile. They do come in 3 fun colors: white, black, and this radioactive orange. A fun mix of strange colors, but I like it. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Stick around for the review of the Buds 2 and 2 Plus and Pro 2 actually. And I'll see you guys next time. Have fun.